Hello, my name is Annie Lornai, and I'm here to introduce and talk to Elise Lewis. Hi, Elise.
Good morning, Annie. How are you today?
Doing all right. How are you?
I'm well. It's a beautiful day and ready to engage in this stimulating conversation on STEM with you.
I'm so excited. So, my first question for you is, what do you do for work?
So, I am a principal director of toxicology at Charles River Laboratories. I actually have the opportunity to oversee scientific research from a non-clinical perspective, trying to make sure that there's safe drug products and chemicals that are out on the market that people could be exposed to intentional or unintentionally.
Do you talk to and work with other companies on these drugs, or is it a single company working on it?
No, we're actually in partnerships. So we are a contract research lab where we are asked to do the work on behalf of, say, a biotechnology company or pharmaceutical company, chemical company, sometimes academics, or even, we may engage in some governmental research. So we're they're in the trenches, being the unsung heroes, trying to help move products to the market as quickly as possible, but making sure that they're safe for exposure.
That's awesome. So, it seems like you have a very interesting job. So, why did you choose to have a career in this field?
Well, I've always been interested in, the healthcare medical field. If we take a step back, back in the eighth grade, I had to declare my intentions of what do I want to be when I grow up. And, you get asked that so often during school that, people can change their mind over time. But for the longest, I actually stuck with I wanted to be an OBGYN. I wanted to deliver babies. I wanted to live on a ranch with horses. I had these delusions of grandeur, but I never deviated from the fact that I wanted to be an OBGYN. Um, Up until the point that I got into college, I was still on the same track. I took all of the pre-medical courses. I was in love with biology from every aspects, just the learnings of physiology, anatomy, earth sciences, anything, that was related to biology. It was like up my alley. So when I got into college, getting ready to go through, trying to figure out, well, what are you going to do? Are you going to take the MCAT? How are you going to prepare yourself to go to medical school? And my mother was chiming in my ear and like, medical school might not be the thing for you. She was a teacher, and I'm sure we'll get to talking about that a little bit later. But I had the dean of the biology department chiming in my other ear, telling me that hey, we could give you a full scholarship to go to the University of Alabama at the time, because I was an undergraduate there doing graduate research, going into graduate school. I was like, no, I'm going to medical school. I was sticking to my guns. And in my last semester of undergraduate, my mother ended up having a medical condition where we had to go to the emergency room. And it was during that time that I truly realized that the hospital environment was not for me. That, the just some of the issues that were happening, and I thought that she could have been given better care than she was given at the time. And I just knew that if that was what being a medical doctor was all about, that was not going to be for me. So at the same time, I was in a general toxicology class, my last semester of school, and I was, toiling around with, well, if I don't go to medical school, what can I do? Do I want to be a physical therapist? Again, I still wanted to stay in that healthcare field. And I took that general toxicology class and fell in love with toxicology. And I just so happened to, be at a place where they did have a higher degree in developmental toxicology, which is ultimately what I did do. So I stayed at the university and eventually finished my PhD through the same department. So very happy that I kind of found another passion, but it still allowed me to marry my interest in the medical field, and saving babies. Like that was the whole thing. I wanted to deliver babies. Now I'm trying to prevent birth defects in babies. So it just kind of all I married all of my interest all at the same time.
It seems like everything just kind of fell in place.
Yes, yes.
So when you were working on your PhD, how long did that take to pursue? And you know, how did the different courses you take further prepare you for your career now?
So, in my undergraduate years, I finished early. So I did it in 3.5 years, but that was just me going through, summer school and just not taking a break. And, again, I had that one track mind. As soon as I can get out of undergraduate, I can go to medical school. And I entered into my PhD program actually through the master's program first because I was off cycle. And so I started in a January semester, winter semester, most people would call it. And I did not have a scholarship at the time. The scholarship didn't start until the fall. So at the same time, they were preparing me for the future faculty fellowship through the University of Alabama. It was one of their prestigious, fellowships that they had to offer at that time. And I got it that fall, and then I was transferred into the PhD program. So I was a semester into still doing my studies when I actually transitioned into the PhD program. And from there, you kind of design your coursework, but you also have to design what kind of experimentation you're going to do when you're doing biology. So, I stuck with a lot of the biological sciences, cell biology, took as much anatomy, as I possibly could. I took some courses that were related to human development, like learning how all of the organs develop over time, just from conception all the way up through adulthood, and understanding what congenital anomalies could actually happen, whether they were genetic or whether they were structural or whether they were spontaneous observations for any organ system. And that was very fascinating to me. So took a lot of those courses, but at the same time, as a part of my fellowship, I had to teach. So I got a chance to teach a lot of the biology labs, histology labs, vertebrate anatomy and genetics, and spending time with a lot of the professors, learning, a little bit more about the structure in the classwork. So I enjoyed, the teaching aspect along with, understanding human development and congenital, development. And I just kind of melded all of that together. And I would say 4.5, 5 years. I actually finished all my coursework in 3 years and then spent another 2 years trying to finish up my research project. So I would say a PhD program can typically take from 3 years to 5 years, depending on what you're engaged in.
Work. What would a typical day at work look like for you?
A long day, but it's a very fulfilling day. And, I always encourage, students like yourself or people that I'm mentoring that whenever you find something that you're passionate about, it doesn't matter how many hours you put into it. And I can say that I approach my job with a passion, simply because I love what I do. And, some days are longer than others, some weeks are longer than others. And, I would say today, because of the role that I have, I interact, with my global colleagues, around the world, at least a few times a week. I'm in meeting after meeting after meeting. Some days I'm on the phone for 12 hours, and some days I might be in the lab, overseeing research. But, a big principal part of my job is helping my scientists to develop because they are, on their career path as well. So a lot of training goes into, helping them to pursue their career path, in understanding their role that they play in non-clinical research. So it could be an 8-hour day. Some days it could be a 12-hour day. Some days it could be travel. Some days it could be, working remotely from home, just trying to catch up on things.
So you said that you travel sometimes. Has your travel been impacted by COVID-19 at all, or has it been the same through the pandemic?
No, because we are, leading in the industry with regards to non-clinical research, it was our people first and safety first, throughout the entire pandemic. This year is kind of changing. We're shifting back to the mentality of let's get our scientists back on the road, attending scientific conferences, participating in in-person meetings. And, because that helps to continue to keep our name out there. Yes, the pandemic truly slowed me down because I was all geared up. I had purchased new luggage because I do travel a lot with my job. And next thing I know, my luggage is in the attic and it's been sitting there for a little while. But, there were ways for us, we learned from this during the entire pandemic how we could pivot from in-person meetings to more virtual meetings to continue to share the science and have cutting edge, scientific meetings so that we can make sure that that work never stalled and that the scientific leadership across the industry still had an opportunity to share new research and discoveries and things that were impacting, say, maternal health and development, because of COVID or because of new therapies that were out there. What were some of the changing, aspects of the environment because of COVID? So that's a big part of our job, is making sure that as scientists, that we can continue to expose people to cutting edge research.
So you say you're helping expose scientists to new research and stuff like that. And it seems like, especially when you were at the University of Alabama teaching some of the courses, you might have been a mentor to undergrads and different students. Did you have a certain mentor during each step of your career, especially leading up to your place now as director?
Well, mentorship is very important because it helps to, not only expose you to different things, but it helps you to have an unbiased opinion, someone that you can troubleshoot with, someone who can lead and guide you along the way, but not necessarily, it is a two-way street, because I would say, like, if you're mentoring you, you may be also mentoring me and teaching me some of the new things, like new challenges that students in high school that are interested in STEM, what would that pose for you? But I honestly think that mentorship helps everyone at every stage. And as a woman in science, it is very important that we do hold on to our mentors, simply because it gives us that opportunity for growth. It gives us that opportunity for exposure, but it's, going to help you to make a better impact, whether you're going to be an academician or whether you're going to continue to, do some industry research or, whatever field that you in. So it's important that, we as girls get the opportunity to have a mentor at every stage of our lives. So you're probably not going to have the same mentor over the years, but it's always good to continue to develop those bonds and relationships with them, because you never know when you might actually need someone to show you something different. Right now, I'm in the stage of sponsorship, where I have others sponsoring me, because there is a difference between mentorship and sponsorship. Sponsorship is someone that's actually going to help you bridge that gap to get to the next level in your career, whereas mentorship will help drive you in the right direction, being the catalyst to helping you to, know what it is that's possible.
So the sponsors like help you bridge the next step in your career. Do you have any current career aspirations for the future?
Continue to be the best that I can be. that, that's one thing that I hope to continue to do, is make an impact. I truly believe that, I learn a lot. I follow kind of like the 3 L's. It's like learning, leading, and leaving a legacy. And that is exactly what I want to continue to do in my scientific career. No matter what I do, whether it's being a part of scientific organizations or continuing in the role that I am with the company that I currently work with, or, going out in the community and exposing underrepresented or marginalized individuals to biomedical research, and why it's important for us to continue to fill that pipeline with, people that are interested in STEM that are going to actually stay in this type of career.
Yeah. Thank you so much for your time. And I'm just gonna end with one additional question, sort of a full circle moment. How did you first get introduced to STEM?
So, just early on, my mother was a teacher. She taught for 42 years. So, that educational background was always there. Her strong suits were in, language arts, and that was not my strong suit. So she tried to make sure that I was, very well tuned to be able to handle any of the challenges that I would face over time. But as I got more and more interested in things like music, because that was a passion of mine. But that early career right after, or early stage right after elementary school, it was, I really started to see how science, when you can do experiments with your hands and do dissections and, transform things and, be at a chemistry bench doing titrations and seeing reactions change before your eyes, that, to me was of great interest. And how you can go from, creating something on the bench top and taking it to the bedside to heal a patient. That is what I do each and every day, trying to make sure that, there are safe and efficacious medicines that are out there that are going to not only just touch one person, but touches a multitude of people at one time.
Thank you so much, Elise. Very insightful about your path through the scientific field. I really appreciate your time and thank you so much.
Well, anytime, and thank you for the opportunity. And let me know if there's anything else that you need.
Thank you.